Hey everybody, today we're preparing 3 sushi rolls. The first one will be for a minute, the second one in an hour, and the third one takes a whole day. Let's go. For today's video, we need a smokehouse like this. You can cook a roll in a minute, only if you've already bought ready-made rice. Time has started. So we cut the nori leaf in half. We open up the rice and distribute it out on the sheet of nori. We also open up the crab sticks. And cut them in half with a knife. We spread them out on the rice and fold it up. We shift the roll to a cutting board and cut it into 8 pieces. That's it, we've cooked our roll for a minute. In my opinion, it turned out really well for such limited time. We spread out some ginger, wasabi on top, dip it in soy sauce, and try it. This is your basic standard roll. Personally, I'm not a fan of such, but you can eat it. We have a whole hour to prepare the next roll. Let's start with the longest, which is cooking rice. We will use a round-shaped one like this. We measure exactly 600 grams. Thoroughly rinse it under the tap. And drain that whitish water. And do that a couple more times. After this procedure, pour 720 milliliters of water. Put the pan on the stove and cover with the lid. When the water boils well, reduce the heating to a minimum. Cook for 20 minutes. The rice is almost ready. We cover with a towel so that it absorbs the remnants of steam. For fueling, pour 150 milliliters of rice vinegar into the jar. Here are 10 tablespoons of sugar, a half teaspoon of salt, and close the jar and shake it. At this point, it's ready. Pour it into the rice and mix. In order for the rice to cool completely, we dump it onto a tray. And spread it out. Now it's ready. Now you need to cut the salmon into beautiful pieces. To do this, cut it in half from the back and cut through the ribs. Now we carefully cut them off. And the thinnest piece of meat as well. We remove a piece of fat at the back, and pressing the knife to the board, cut off the skin. We take out the remaining small bones directly with our fingers. We clean out the ugly gray meat, and cut our beautiful piece into plates. A cucumber should be crunching inside the roll. Therefore, we cut it into long strips. We open up our store-bought cream cheese and transfer that to the cooking bag. Theoretically, everything is ready. Now let's finally collect our roll. Fold the sheet of nori twice and cut along the folded line. With wet hands, we collect rice and distribute it over the nori. On one side, there should be a centimeter of nori, and on the other side, a centimeter of rice. Turn it over. Squeeze out a strip of cream cheese, also cucumber straws. Roll up the roll. After that, we pull the roll to the edge of the mat and knock off the edges, so they will be much smoother. We put the red fish on top and press it to the rice with a mat. Now we just have to cut the roll into 8 pieces. Between each cut, we wipe the knife from the cream cheese. We made this Philadelphia roll in 1 hour. Pour some soy sauce on it. And to make it tastier, we dilute it with mirin and water. Pour some water into the wasabi powder and knead it all together. And also with our fingers, we form such a cube. Spread out the ginger, and now it's definitely ready. Let's try it. This is a very tasty Philadelphia roll, 10 times tastier than the previous. Well, let's prepare our longest one, which will take a whole day to make. We need 2 pieces of fish, salmon and tuna. We cut off the salmon spine and ribs. We remove the bones from the skin. And we get a perfectly piece of red fish. We open up a piece of tuna. We want to smoke 2 types of these fish, but before that, they need to be salted. Therefore, we pour some brown sugar into a bowl. And half as much salt. All this needs to be mixed. And we bury the fish in this mixture. We leave it to be salted in the refrigerator for 12 hours. And for homemade Philadelphia cheese, we send a package of 20% sour cream and a pack of yogurt without additives into a bowl. Now we need a teaspoon of salt and mix. We put a sieve in a saucepan and also gauze. We pour the mixture through here. Wrap the gauze. And put a little bit of weight on top and put it in the refrigerator for 22 hours. It's been 12 hours. The fish is salted. Salt and sugar pulled out excess moisture from it, and it has become denser. Wash off the remaining salt under water. Dry with a paper towel. We tie each piece of fish with a thick thread. So that it hangs on it. And we will cook all this in such a cold smoked smokehouse. Open the camera. We tie the fish inside. And to make it all work, we spin up the smoke generator. We pour into it a chip of fruit trees. And put it all back together. We connect a large hose through which the smoke will get into the smokehouse. And on the other hand, we connect a mini compressor. And we take this whole system outside. We turn on the compressor, and with a turbo igniter, we set fire to the chips. And we just leave the fish to smoke for 6 hours. We open up another piece of tuna. We specially froze it in order to easily cut into perfect slices. But this is not all the fish that we will use. Let's also take a sea eel. From the side of the abdomen, we cut into the spine. And on the opposite side, we cut through the thin ribs. We've separated half of the eel. From the second half, we cut off the ridge. Also, as carefully as possible, without losing meat, we cut off the ribs. Cut the eel fillet to approximately the same pieces. Done. We lay those out on top of the shelf with the skin up. and just gently pour boiling water over them in order to scald the skin. We clean off all the mucus with a tablespoon. Pour 400 milliliters of mirin into a saucepan. Pour in 150 grams of sugar, 400 milliliters of soy sauce, and 200 milliliters of sake. We put that pan onto the stove. When all this mixture is boiled, we dip the pieces of our eel into it. And cook for literally 25 minutes. After cooling, we take it out and cut it into these cubes. Be sure to remove the bones so that they don't get caught in the roll later. Tuna and salmon are already smoked, therefore it's time to go get them. We cut the threads. Cut them first into slices, then into straws. We repeat the same thing with the tuna. Also, orange pulp will go into this roll. So to get it, we cut off the entire layer from the outside of the orange, not to the films, but straight to the juicy pulp. In between the membranes, we cut out the perfect pulp. Done. It's been exactly 22 hours since we put the cheese in the refrigerator. We open up the gauze and see that it's ready. Now we just gotta put it into a pastry bag. We cook rice in the same way that we did for the last roll. And finally, we collect it. We spread a lot of rice out onto a sheet of nori and evenly distribute it with our fingers. Nori pokes out on one side and rice on the other side. Now we turn it all over. Squeeze out 3 strips of cream cheese. We spread out the cold smoked tuna cubes, orange peels, eel boiled in natsumi sauce, as well as smoked salmon. That's it. Now we are folding our hefty roll as carefully as possible. Now we line the edges. And we spread out the plate of fresh tuna on top. And press it with the mat. With the sharpest knife possible, cut the pieces exactly between the tuna plates. By the way, we washed the knife between each cut so that the rice wouldn't stick to it. Done. In my opinion, it turned out beautifully. It remains to lay out the red caviar. We also spread out all the toppings of the roll, which took a whole day to prepare. It's finally ready. Let's try it in its purest form. This is a very large and unrealistically delicious roll. The fish inside smells slightly of smoke. Our homemade cream cheese turned out to be 1-in-1, just like a purchased one. And the coolest thing is the sweetness that eel and orange pulp give. In general, it tastes like 10 out of 10. And if this video gets 200,000 likes, then we will cook pizza in 1 minute, 1 hour, and 1 day. Also, subscribe to the channel and click on this playlist. Bye, everybody.